Okay, quick message on climate politics. I ran into Scott Pruitt the other day, the new EPA administrator. Didn't really run into him, I more ran after him. He had just given a speech at a conference, friendly conference, and I darted in afterwards through the guards and past the crowd of press reporters who were yelling questions at him, and I, said hi, introduced myself. We had a nice chat. So Scott has just expressed the view that humans weren't primarily the cause of climate change, and I think that's a crazy notion. I'm an environmentalist. I have been for many years. I've been a supporter of climate action for decades. I am also a Republican, and those two things aren't supposed to go together, but that's for political reasons that are beyond any reason. I'm a Republican because I like freedom and I like free markets. I'm not a big fan of the Republican Party as it expresses itself today. I kind of like the party of Lincoln. I kind of like the party of Teddy Roosevelt. I kind of like the party that wants to liberate people. So that's the Republican Party that I'm a part of, and it's still buried in there somewhere, but we got to get it back. That's a separate issue. Scott Pruitt, why is he a climate skeptic? We have to understand this as environmentalists, that we have created the Scott Pruitt climate skeptics and deniers. The reason, there are three reasons that Scott and others adopt that position. First of all, they hate most of the policy ideas that they hear from us. The policy ideas for protecting the world against climate change are overwhelmingly from the progressive side of the aisle. They are oriented to big government. They use government as the stick to create most of the outcome. Now, I understand cap and trade, carbon tax, and I love carbon tax. I'm a big supporter. But when folks on the right hear us talk about a powerful EPA with powers that are extended to the very edge of what's legally permissible, when they hear us talking about the need for a United Nations global policy dictates, understand that that scares them. Understand that that scares conservatives because they care about freedom. And so they are skeptical about climate, not because they actually question the science. I'm pretty convinced of that. They're skeptical because they really hate the ideas that we're putting on the table. If we put better ideas on the table, suddenly climate science will make sense to them. Number two, they fear the sense of panic and crisis and urgency that we're putting out there. Every time, progress slows on climate policy, we fan the flames some more and we issue some reports saying how immediate the crisis is, how we have to act right now. And it bumps up our activists, but it turns off our counterparts on the other side because they think we are panicking. And anybody who's been involved in a real crisis knows that the worst response to a crisis is to panic. You do exactly the wrong thing. And so they have no confidence that we know how to manage this problem because we're panicked. And we keep upping the panic level. We got to calm it down. Number three, they are turned off massively by our insistence that they should not be climate skeptics. We too often constantly say, look, 97% of scientists agree that climate change is real. It's a determined science. Well, yes, 97% believe it's real. 97% believe it's human caused primarily. And that, as far as I can see, is absolutely true. It's like beyond much question. But there's lots of difference of opinion about exactly what the implications are, exactly how the science works, and so on. And even if there weren't, as a contrarian myself, I don't believe something just because 97% of the people do. In fact, I think that's cause for skepticism. If that many people believe it, then you can bet a lot of people just believe it because their friends believe it. We have to stop halting people from expressing climate skepticism because when we do, we make it more appealing to them than ever. To contrarians like myself, that's where they'll become more skeptical. And that skepticism will grow into denialism. And that's exactly what's happening. We got to stop trying to end the movement for climate skepticism and stop trying to obliterate climate denial and just accept it as a part of the democratic process. Listen to it, Let them express their ideas. Their ideas will change and evolve and become more sophisticated, and before you know it, they will find agreement on climate science sufficient to bring them in. So, those are the three reasons Scott Pruitt is our adversary on this. He's a nice guy. He believes in freedom. He comes from a state where, they were penalized by the EPA for, in ways that they thought violated their sovereignty. Let's focus on that, and let's find him a way to act on climate within that range of concerns. And if we do, we'll find that we also win the other side. We win the right, we win the center, we win the free market people, and that's how we win climate. So, three things. We gotta develop more policy ideas and put them on the table, and we also gotta kind of put our globalists to bed here, the folks that want to have a global regimen of mandates. Come on, is this 1960? Secondly, we got to stop being so fearful and panicky and, raising the alarm bell every time. Steady, systematic progress, that's what wins on this. It's the only way to survive and flourish. And third, we got to be okay with people being skeptical about climate science. We can argue the case. We're smart enough to be able to argue the case, and we're confident enough to be able to withstand differences of opinion. Let those differences be expressed. Celebrate what we have in America with our freedom of speech. Then we'll be able to come together on climate solutions. So I celebrate the fact that we have Scott Pruitt in as the EPA administrator. It's up to us to change his thinking by understanding where he and millions of other skeptics are coming from, and then dealing with where their concerns are coming from. That's how we win. All right? Thank you.